It's a Guy Jeans podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. This is season number 2, episode number 93, if you can believe that. And I'm doing an end of season highlight podcast of a few of my guests from this last season. This is the last episode of season number 2, and I thought it would be kind of fun to showcase a few clips from this last season. On this podcast, I'm going to play clips from Art Alexakis from the band Everclear, Scotty Morris from the band Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, musician and fly fishing guide Chuck Ragan, 13-time world Frisbee champ Chipper Bro Bell, legendary Ventura band Raging Arb and the Redheads, and guitar virtuoso Guy Martin. I want to thank my sponsors from this last year, Goldco.com, Manscaped, the Bart Hall Shows, Waypoint TV, and Dakota Lithium Batteries. I want to thank them for supporting the podcast, and I want to thank you all for listening and making this podcast journey of mine possible. It's super fun, interesting, and educational for me to interview all these guests who I would never get to talk to otherwise, that's for sure. I want to thank Universal Attractions Agency and my agent, Jim Woodward, for believing in the podcast and helping it become successful. So let's get to the clips. The first clip is with Art Alexakis of the band Everclear, and in this clip, he talks about performing in front of thousands of fans and what that is like. I couldn't imagine. And his pre-game warm-ups before going on stage. So here we go. I was checking out some old videos of you and stuff, man, and I got to ask you this question because I just get blown away when I see you performing like at the Woodstock show, like, back in the 90s, man. It was like I couldn't believe how many people were there. And just, I got to ask you, what's that like? What's it like to be in front of that many people, man?
I don't know how to explain it, to be honest with you. To have that many people singing your lyrics back to you like they were singing Santa Monica,
right?
Father of Mine, and, the big hits.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. But I got to tell you, I love those shows are like special.
Yeah.
But my favorite is about 1,000 to 2,000 people who are just hardcore fans, know all the words to all the songs, and that energy is just so contagious. We're guys in our 50s and I'm in my 60s, but we still feel the buzz every night we walk on stage, and it's I think it goes back and forth. If we're generating that kind of energy, it's going to be coming back to us from the crowd, and vice versa. So it's like I said, man, I am just
stoked.
Blessed.
Yeah, totally.
To be able to do this. I'm in my 60s and I'm still playing rock and roll and making a decent living at it. It's awesome.
So when you're back like stage and you're getting ready to perform for those 1,000, 2,000 person theaters or even bigger shows or whatever, what's it like right before you go on stage, man? What's the feelings that you have?
Well, like we warm up and we're, like I said, we're older guys, we're stretching and stuff, and keeping it kind of light. But about 2 minutes before I go on, I just start meditating and praying as I'm walking to stage. Just asking my higher power for energy and for me to be upbeat and positive and to not fall down because I have MS. And to remember all the words, and
right.
It's just kind of a self meditation thing, but it never fails, Guy. Yeah. Even if I've been doing this for, I've been playing on stage since I was 16, and I'm 61.
Yeah,
and I still get the butterflies before I go on stage. But I've learned that once the lights go down and the intro starts and we start walking out on stage and we all hug each other and start walking out on stage, I've learned to turn that anxiety and that fear into excitement. And by the time I hit the mic, I just turned it in, myself into a bigger character. Right. Just my same personality, just a bigger part of it, just a little bit amplified. And I love just hearing the crowd roar. It's just, what a buzz. I've done every drug in the world. I've been clean and sober for 30. Right. I really have. Right. I've been clean and sober for about 34 years. And it's the best buzz I ever had. Actually, that's not true. I've never done fentanyl. And I've never done Oxycontin. Yeah. Because those all came after after I've been clean and sober. So I don't know what those are like. Or MDMA. Dude,
that fentanyl's gnarly, man.
Dude, dropping like flies out there, buddy.
Yeah, that's great. All right, that was Art Alexakis from episode number 78 this year. So that was pretty fun. This next clip is with Scotty Morris, episode number 47. And he's from the band Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. And he talks about getting started and traveling to New York in a van for 5 years before they finally got a tour bus. So here's Scotty Morris with Big Bad Voodoo Daddy. But were you guys did you get together with Kurt and start writing songs, and then you started adding musicians, and it just kind of grew from there? And the other question I have is, people talk about, manifesting things. And for me, with Lion Eyes, a lot of that stuff that was happening, I manifested, like playing in a garage, to playing parties, to playing big clubs, to playing bigger stages and stuff like that, imagining all that and just putting that in my mind that's what we were going to do. Did that happen for you from the very beginning?
Yeah, that's me since my earliest memories. I mean, I manifest everything. I think through everything. Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing. And to go back to the early days is, yes, that's exactly what happened. I had written all this music, all the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy music. I'd written a ton of stuff, and I knew what I wanted it to sound like. I mean, it was more like I really wanted Big Bad Voodoo Daddy to be almost like a Tom and Jerry cartoon, like that crazy Scott Bradley music that's just, it's such wild music if you listen to it, and how it's scoring this insanely violent, wild situation. And when we came up, Nirvana was the number one band on planet Earth. Mm-hmm. And I thought the most punk rock thing that we could do, that I could do, is do a swing band, because there was nothing like that, nothing remotely like that at the time. This is the dawn of the new decade, 1990, when grunge was the thing, and so I wanted to be as unique and as original as I could get, and that was really the onslaught of me and Kurt trying to do this thing, and that's really what it was. And the whole time we were doing this, I was manifesting in my mind a plan to try and bring this thing to, incrementally you make steps towards things. So I incrementally wanted to go play Charlie's. Yeah. I wanted to then headline Charlie's, and then I wanted to play Toast Tavern. I wanted to play State May. I manifested these things and just kept going and going and going. And thankfully, there were enough places that we could play that would then sort of get me to, I don't know, these next little goals, I guess they would be, So 100% manifesting ideas. I still do it to this day. I'm constantly, I've got lists and lists and lists of things that I write down all the time, and I look at them daily, and I try and get, half of a list done, just so I'm moving towards the things that I want to get towards.
This next clip is episode number 56 with Chipper Bro Bell. And he was a 13-time world Frisbee champ, which is unbelievable. And he is touring all over the world. He's talking about touring all over the world. And this one story is really, really cool about the protests in China. And it kind of got started from him and his buddy being over there partying with the Frisbee crew and being on tour with Jan and Dean.
Cool. I just wanted to roll this one out. So we get back from the tours and we hit it was like September or something of '86, and the tours were over, and we got home and the phone rang, and crazy, our captain picked up the phone and said, and we just finished touring with Jan and Dean. Jan and Dean 60s rock band, right?
Yeah.
Little Old Lady from Pasadena and Dead Man's Curve and a few hits they had, but they hung up and they said, Jan and Dean just asked us to go on tour with them. I was like, where? They said, China.
Whoa.
I was like, what? They said, yeah, it's the first American rock and roll tour in China as a cultural exchange. And they invited Jan and Dean, and they invited us. And so, long story short, this is like, I just love to talk to you more about this another time, but as we got into Beijing, Jan and Dean were really big, by the way. Like, China people liked them. They were about 20 years behind in music. For reals. And so our first gig was in Beijing, and so many intricacies happened in this, with being in front of the military. They're watching a cultural show that's, in communist China. Here's Americans here doing this Frisbee and Jan and Dean show and all these things. They hired dancers, and so there's so much to that, but I'm just going to roll over to when we got to Shanghai. We were in there, and Crazy John decides, we got to fire these audiences up because it's the first concert these people, kids, students, whoever could afford that. I think $30 was kind of a lot to go to this concert. And I think they had like 25,000 people showed up. And Crazy fires up the crowd. He's like, yeah, and doing these things, and he runs up into the crowd during this Jan and Dean jam, and he runs into the crowd, runs into the audience, catches eye with this boy. I'm about 8 feet away watching. Crazy John sticks his right hand out where that boy stuck his right hand out, and they grabbed hands. And Crazy pulled that boy out of his seat and started dancing because it was a perfect moment. Right? It was like, oh my gosh, Crazy John, by the way, is an exceptional entertainer. And he could dance and sing and move, and he's moving around, and the kid starts dancing. It was the coolest thing. Completely off beat, starts dancing like Saturday Night Fever.
Classic.
So in this moment of amazement, the boy is taken by security guards and taken off the stage area where he was, on the aisle area, and took him away, and ended up arresting him and putting him in jail. Whoa. And the people he was with protested underground because they took one of the students from Shanghai University pro-democracy movement in 1987.
Wow. What happened to him?
86. So he gets arrested and goes, well, there is a part in here that's, there's a lot to talk about with this particular part. Crazy John did witness him getting beat up.
Oh.
And kicked and stuff with these guys in the big robes and not robes, blue jacket-like things. They look like Dickie jackets, but oversized. Anyways, so here's what happened, though. That happened, and then students started to underground protest. And we got to the next city from Shanghai. We're on tour, going down with like 7-city tour, working our way to Hong Kong, which is going to be a couple weeks later. We're working our way down. The next night, what do? blow the roof off. Crazy John's going off. We actually tied we found a rope that we could tie the guitarist waist to and let him swing out over the audience playing guitar. We're thinking of because this is Crazy's ideas, by the way. He just, I got an idea. Because our routine was only like 10 minutes out of this full 24-hour day.
Got to do something.
So, got to do something. That's when we hung with all these bands and stuff and helped with load in, load out. Just helped the execution of the show, you know.
Yeah.
And so, get to the next town. We finally get down to Hong Kong, and the director, which we were with Lorimar Pictures, HBO, and these other peeps, there's about 35 people in our entourage. And we ended up getting to Hong Kong, and the newspapers were out because now it's finally freedom of press. Each town we went to, they're like, hey, any reviews? Did we hear anything? How was the show? Kind of looking to see if they made the press. Zero. No freedom of press. Got to Hong Kong, and the director said, everybody, when we get into this hotel, there's going to be reporters and people, and we have an emergency press conference with the band. And it's BBC, NBC, ABC, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
And the newspaper, which I have copies of, shows the largest demonstration sparked with riots are beginning to start because of the Jan and Dean tour.
Oh, boy.
So when we got to the press conference, and by the way, the director looks all the way across the audience to our entourage and looks right at Crazy John and goes, Crazy, don't say a word. These guys are going to talk. We're going to get through this. We don't know what's happening here. So fast forward history, guy, and that movement sparked the demonstrations that led up to Tiananmen Square in 1989 with the guy that stood in front of the tank.
Oh my God. I remember that.
Yep. He put his hands up in front of like 8 tanks.
Yeah.
And in Newsweek magazine, in that issue, it said the demonstrations were sparked by members of the Jan and Dean duo. Which basically said Crazy John fucking started it.
Oh my God. That's crazy. What a great. This next clip is with a really cool guy. He's a fly fishing guide. He's also a rock star. His name's Chuck Ragan. And this is episode number 43. And Chuck is talking about the weirdest thing that's ever happened to him while playing live in front of a live audience.
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah. when we were fishing together, and I hope you don't mind sharing this story, but I asked you the question when I was fishing with you. What's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to you on stage? Did you remember what you told me?
I don't.
You don't? Something about your leg. Something about your leg.
Oh yeah.
Would you mind telling that story?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because the one that just came to mind was a lot gnarly.
That one was pretty good. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm rubbing my leg right now and it is 100% still numb.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
Yeah. We were in Atlanta, Georgia, and playing at the Masquerade, and this band was opening for us, and it was on a New Year's. I remember that. And they ended up playing a Bouncing Soul song that I knew and loved, the song True Believers, and I heard them start it, and I didn't even really know that band at all. And I'm like, oh hell, I'm gonna go sing it with them, And So I just ran out on stage and I was singing it with them, and another buddy was singing it with them, and a couple of us just stage dove at kind of the end of, kind of towards the end of the song. And, when we're getting kind of passed around in the crowd, and one of the showgoers just locked onto my leg with their teeth. Just straight bit me, but didn't bite me, like bit and hung on. Hung on for dear life. And straight up broke the skin. My whole leg was black and blue, and
my God. Did you finally have to like knock her in the head to get her to release, or what was that all about?
I had to grab her by the back of the head. I'm like, let go. And I remember being bit by a dog when I was a kid, and it was a lot worse than that.
Oh my gosh. What was the other one? What was the other one you were going to say? We were playing the Launch Pad in Albuquerque, New Mexico, which was pretty wild place. Mm-hmm. We had some raucous shows there, and we've always had people get kind of wild in the crowd and whatnot here and there. Yeah. But we had a show, and we had a couple people right in front of us who were just straight up making the love right square, right square in front of us, 2 feet away from us. That was an interesting show to get through, Oh my God. Because no one else can see him, huh? Because it's so crowded, but like just a few people around him, but you guys can see everything.
Yeah. The people around him definitely knew what was going on. And we certainly knew what was going on, and it was consensual, and they were having a great.
This next clip is from episode number 63 with the legendary Ventura band Raging Arb and the Redheads, and this is a clip when they first heard their song on a huge radio station in Los Angeles called KLOS, and what it was like for them to hear their song on the radio for the first time.
Just some changes. I mean, you know how things are.
Sure.
And looking back on it, Rod had the just raw energy, knocking on doors, and we shifted gears, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And but we got some airplay and a lot of recognition. I remember I was at the Stones concert, had a Redhead shirt on in the bathroom, and some dudes, oh man, Redheads! I just heard those guys on KLOS today.
It's huge, man.
Yeah, it was like, what the heck? And I'm oh shit.
Yeah. What was it like when you heard yourself on the radio?
That was a trip.
Yeah, isn't that cool?
That's when people listen to the radio, and that's when like KLOS was huge.
For sure.
Yeah, we used to get some American play on K-Tide, Santa Barbara. That was good, with Spencer and you guys and everybody. Yeah. But when that hit, it was like, whoa.
Yeah.
They did Hang in the Balance, and that was Mary Kay came in on that, and her pipes were just like out front. KLOS when they were playing us.
They played it with little bits and pieces, that whole record.
What was that like, JD, hearing your voice on the radio for the first time?
Oh, man. One of my best moments, like, with the band, like, nowadays we just play to have a really good time.
Sure.
But when you're young and you're coming up and you think, wow, where's the journey taking us, right?
Yeah.
We had like 4, 5, 6 people in a car. We were going to go see the Stones at the Rose Bowl. And we had KLOS on. And I think it was Bruce Springsteen, then Raging Arb and the Red, like noontime nugget thing, right? It was Bruce Springsteen, Raging Arb, and then like Guns N' Roses or something. And the DJ was like, I'm going to play you a little something. You know how they DJs pick or whatever?
Yeah.
And they friggin' picked us.
And you were driving?
Driving to the Rose Bowl to go watch the Stones. And then I'm like, dude, what? There you are. Oh my God. It was so magical. And
this next clip, episode number 53 with my friend Guy Martin, Guy Martin's an amazing guitar player, and he got asked to play at the Staples Center and play the national anthem for all the people there and that sort of thing. And he talks about what that was like playing in front of all those people.
That story I was talking about, I got a friend that hooked me up with playing the national anthem, Star Spangled Banner, at a Miami Heat and Clippers game.
No way.
And this is at Staples Center.
Oh.
And so this is when Shaq was on the Heat. So like kind of newly on the Heat, he left LA to go to Miami.
Uh-huh.
So because of that reason, the Staples Center was full. It was, I don't know what their capacity is. I think it's 21,000, something like that.
Wow.
Dude, talk about nerves and focus.
Oh my God.
They wheel me out to center court. All the lights go out except for right there in the center on you. And then you're basically relying on your skills to not botch up the national anthem in front of 20,000 people.
That's gnarly.
Dude, I know. And I have pictures of that night on my Facebook.
Uh-huh.
And I've been trying to not have been, but I tried to get the video from Fox because Fox was airing it.
Uh-huh.
They didn't air my part on TV because it wasn't a playoff game or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they were there filming it, and to this day, I would still love to have that footage. So I don't know if it's possible to get.
So what was that like? I mean, when people just
insane.
Yeah,
you get to the part of the anthem where people are always hollering. So I chose to do like some tasty licks.
Uh-huh.
My anthem wasn't Jimi Hendrix-ish. There was maybe 2.5 seconds of Jimi Hendrix style in there, but the rest was real sultry, clean,
nice.
And just bluesy. And kind of, I went into this minor chord progression that sounded like The End from The Doors. And then,
awesome.
Dude, yeah, it was a cool, unique version. But what was interesting is on the way back, because I had to take an elevator to the street level to get back to street level.
Uh-huh.
I was in the elevator with like 7 of the Clippers cheerleaders, and they're like, did you just play the guitar tonight? I'm like, yeah, that was me.
That was me.
That was pretty cool. Yeah.
All right, you guys, there you have it. A couple clips from this last season. I'm looking forward to season number 3 in 2024. I hope you guys all listen to some of the podcasts. I got some great ones coming up and already booked. And I want to thank you guys again for listening. This is Guy Jeans from the Guy Jeans Podcast. We'll talk to you soon. With everything going on in the world today, right now could be the best time ever to diversify your retirement savings with precious metals like gold and silver. I just bought some precious metals myself, and I got them from the top-rated company Goldco. They couldn't have made the process easier, and their customer service was impeccable. Goldco has helped thousands of people just like you and me place over $2.5 billion in gold and silver. They're rated A+ by the Better Business Bureau. They've earned over 5,000 5-star reviews. They're a 7-time Incorporated 5,000 winner. And that's just mentioning a few of their accomplishments. There's plenty more. Right now, for my listeners, they're offering up to $10,000 in bonus silver. You heard that right, up to $10,000 in bonus silver, but only while supplies last. Go to goldco.com/guy to learn more. That's goldco.com/guy. Diversify your savings with gold and silver today at goldco.com/guy.
It's a Guy Jeans podcast.